Hello TV fans and welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today I'm going to be covering the new Hulu limited series, Welcome to Chippendales. Does this true crime saga stand out compared to the rest in this recently oversaturated genre? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Chippendales is created by Robert Siegel. It stars Kumail Nanjiani, Murray Bartlett, Annaleigh Ashford, Robin De Jesus, and Juliette Lewis. This limited series is the origin story of showman Steve Banerjee, an Indian-American entrepreneur who started the stripper troupe Chippendales. The behind-the-scenes story of Chippendales is one perfectly tailored for the silver screen treatment. It's got everything you could want in a true crime saga. Sex, drugs, fraud, arson, murder, and of course, male strippers dancing around in thongs. It's the type of twisted tale which proves that truth is stranger than fiction. In just the last 2 years, A&E and Discovery have churned out their own Chippendales docuseries, and there is also supposedly a feature film on the way starring Elle Fanning and Seth Rogen. So if you hadn't known the story before, you certainly will soon if Hollywood has anything to say about it. Hulu has beat Rogen to the punch though with their 8-episode limited series, Welcome to Chippendales. And I must admit that I had seen the A&E docuseries, Secrets of the Chippendale Murders, before watching this, so I was fully aware of everything that goes down here. But that did not take away from my enjoyment of this dramatized account. This is a sleazy, sprawling, and spellbinding production that had me glued to my screen from beginning to end. Though I can't help but wish that this show hadn't taken itself so seriously. Welcome to Chippendales is created by Robert Siegel, who just this year gave us the equally as sordid Pam and Tommy. If you haven't seen my review of that series, while I was enamored by the performances of Lily James and Sebastian Stan, I thought it was way too long and messy, though many of my peers were much more impressed. So although I knew the story of Chippendales had so much potential, I wasn't completely sold on the showrunner. Luckily, Siegel has taken what worked about Pam and Tommy, the exemplary production design and period detail, along with an A-list cast that is allowed to chew the scenery, and has mostly improved on what didn't. It certainly helps that this true crime story is a lot more involving and complex than the release of a sex tape, though. I appreciate that Welcome to Chippendales is really able to take a deep dive into the things that talking heads in the documentaries can only do so much justice to. Not only do we get to see the rise and fall of Steve Banerjee's vision of Chippendales, but also how and why this man became a paranoid control freak and notorious criminal. We get to see Banerjee go back to India for his father's funeral and experience the interactions with his disappointed mother, who greatly impacts his obsession to be successful. We encounter the blatant and vile racism he endures in America, and how that later molds his racist business model for the company. This series does not just jump from one important plot point to the next. It does an exceptional job of allowing us into this man's corrupted psyche along the way. It would not have worked, however, without the fully committed performance from Kumail Nanjiani, the talented actor who finally got to show off his real chops in The Big Sick, is able to really sink his teeth into this role. Steve Banerjee is not the most showy character to take on, as he was an uptight, rigid man that came off extremely uncharismatic in interviews. Yet Nanjiani is perfectly able to capture all of the nuances of this role and relishes in his more nefarious scenes. On the other side of the coin is Murray Bartlett as the magnetic, larger-than-life Nick DeNoia. The Emmy-winning White Lotus star was born to play the Emmy-winning Chippendales choreographer, and there may just be another Emmy on the way for his performance here. Although Denoya is quite similar to Bartlett's other characters in The White Lotus and Physical Season 2, and some might say he is merely playing the same role over and over again, the charming, high-strung, vigorous gay man with maniacal tendencies, you cannot deny that he is just so damn enthralling to watch. My biggest qualm with Welcome to Chippendales is that this missed the ample opportunity to take advantage of the setting. While the 80s flourishes are flawlessly realized, the venue of Chippendales itself is so rife with exploration, and this series fails to embrace it fully. The dance numbers and set pieces leave much to be desired, giving off the impression that the showrunners were much more interested in the crimes than the establishment. If Welcome to Chippendales had taken a page from Magic Mike's playbook and put just as much care into the stage performances and the behind the scenes of what it takes to put on a show like this, as much as it did the narrative, this could have been a wildly entertaining romp that would keep you coming back for return visits. But as is, it's very heavy with its subject matter, only taking minor detours here and there for the frivolity. Whereas I feel like it should have been the other way around. I also think the first half of this series, where we see the beginnings of the company and our ragtag team come together, is much more engaging than the latter half. Basically, it's much more fun to watch the rise than it is the fall. Even so, if you are a fan of the true crime genre, then there is a big chance you are going to love this. While it might be a little more dour than it ought to be for a show centered around male strippers, it's still a far cry from the bleak and grisly tales that usually populate this space. And that makes this series something refreshingly different. So I will be giving Welcome to Chippendales 3.5 black bow ties out of 5. This wild and epic true crime tale is brilliantly brought to life through the inspired performances of its ensemble cast. But while it does give a surprising amount of insight into its tragic characters, it also takes itself a little too seriously in the process. Thank you so much for watching Lost in the Reel. What are your thoughts on Welcome to Chippendales? Do you think this show did this story justice? And what are some of your favorite true crime series so far this year? Sound off in the comments section down below. And until next time, my friends, take care.